A very warm welcome and thank you so much for staying with KTS. Of course, I'm very glad that you're watching our today's episode of the Straight Talk program. I'm your host, Regina Orlando, and with me in the show today is Mr. Benjamin Olenja, a political analyst. And today we are going to give a small touch on international politics as we major on our own local politics. Stay tuned to the program. Thank you so much, Mr. Olenja, for honoring our call to the show. It's a privilege to have you here today. And just to begin with some touch of international news, we recently saw President Trump being inaugurated into office as the 45th president of the United States of America. What's your touch on this? And of course, I would like you to mention something regarding the presence of Hillary Clinton, who lost to him in the elections. She was there, and even Trump himself said that it might have been very tough for Hillary to be there. What's your take on that?
Yeah, first I must congratulate Donald Trump on his election as the President of the United States of America. And also, you remember when he was campaigning, his slogan was, "Make America Great Again."
Sure.
And you remember during the campaign period, he seemed to be on a side that was not taken in by public opinion. Many people supported Hillary Clinton.
Sure.
And he pulled through, though there are some challenges that arose, issues in relationship to Russia being involved in that election, but he has managed to go through. He has been sworn in. The presence of Hillary Clinton at the inauguration ceremony, we can say, is a case of the respect to democracy and also the principles enshrined in their constitution.
Okay.
That I will support whoever wins this election. And true to the word, no matter the challenges, no matter, you remember immediately after the elections, there were some attempts to ask that the tallies be rechecked.
Sure.
And somebody gave out money so that process could be done. But along it, we realized that people have moved on.
Okay.
They have just given this guy a chance so that he can make his point. He can take his chance. And if it's well, we shall see by the results.
Okay. And just with reference to what you said, that people, it's just respect to democracy. Can you compare the two democracies? Let's say the United States democracy versus the African and maybe Kenya.
Yeah, in terms of comparison, when you look at the democracy in the United States and say Europe and now Africa, they are not very different. But they are exercised differently.
Okay.
In America, they follow to the latter, their constitutionalism.
All right.
For instance, when you look at the way they elect their president, you can have the popular vote, but you lack the electoral college vote. And that is something that worked against Hillary Clinton.
Sure.
She had the popular vote, but she lacked the electoral college win, where she received lesser delegates as compared to Donald Trump. When you come to Africa, there are some countries which you can say they have their democracy matured to a given level as compared to other countries. Recently we saw the case of Ghana, where we saw change of power, an incumbent accepting defeat and handing power democratically and in peace. We are also seeing a scenario in Gambia where the president who has been defeated not willing to give out power. Yet democratically the people have elected a new person to lead their country.
Sure.
When you come to East Africa, you look at the scenario like Kenya, you realize Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, you realize that the democratic space, though it is guaranteed even in the constitution, but it is not fully honored, especially the case of Uganda,
Sure.
where Kizza Besigye has been running for the presidency, but when it comes to election period, he's maneuvered,
Sure.
or he's not given that chance to lead the country. And then when you come to Tanzania, we saw it when the current president, John Magufuli Pombe, when he contested, and remember it was his first time to contest as president, and he won it. and he was given the mantle to lead. Although we can look at him and this country, the Independence Party is still holding to power. And then when he come into Kenya, it has been a funny scenario, because despite our democratic space, we have had our own challenges, whereby you find after the elections, the opposition or the ruling government, it uses that chance to hit at one another, and not to instill values and ideas that will help even the generations that follow to it.
All right.
Yes.
So the difference is really just at the implementation, the way we exercise these democracies.
The way we implement our democracies, the way we view power, because when it comes to Africa, I rather remain in power somehow longer than give it out. You remember when Obama came to Africa some times back, and he went to the meeting in Addis Ababa, and he was telling the African leaders that why should you stay on power too long? Why, if you have done a good thing and you think your country needs to move forward, why is it that you feel like if you get out of power, your country will not move ahead? And you see that those are some of the questions, the discourses that we need to engage in for the democratic space in our country, to see that where are we and where are we going? Can we do it without the current president? Can we do it, our country, can it go forward if so-and-so is not on power? Look at the case of, I think it was in Burundi, where the president refused to come out of power, forcefully forced himself to another term against the people's will. And that's the difference that we have.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. And on to our own politics now. Of course, there's so much going on in the political arena. And we see the president and the co-leader Raila Odinga traversing the country in the bid to encourage people to turn out in large numbers and register as voters. What does this speak as far as the 2017 August elections is concerned?
Yeah, well, to begin with, when we look matters politics, and democracy is bringing government into effect by having numbers. When you have many on your side electing you to a position, then you are able to lead that country. You gain power.
Sure.
But how do we gain this power? One of the ways that you gain power is people voting for you.
Right.
But some in our country, Kenya, there are some areas where the population is high. For example, I was looking recently at the statistics given by IEBC. And for a long time, people have believed that Western region has a bigger population compared to Nyanza. But when it came to show the kind of number of people registered as voters, Nyanza had above 2 million. Western had less. And this thing was like, okay, now if Mudavadi, if Wetangula want to be president in Kenya, and they want to be backed like, say, somebody from Nyanza, why is it that their point has a lesser number of voters? So they have to do something. That's why you'll find the president and even the opposition leader, they are going to there, especially when you look keenly, you realize they are going to where they believe it's their strongholds. Sure. So that whatever they have, they are adding on it. And look at the way they are speaking to the people. They're telling them, get more votes so that you can vote me back, or you can vote for me. It's not that get voters cards or get registered so that you can make your country great again, like Trump told the US people. Yeah. So when we look at all these things, it's a matter of interest. They are not just going because of going out, but they are looking at it. How am I solidifying my base towards the August poll? And I think it is though the intention in the politicians is wrong, but the energy they put into it, I support it.
Wrong? The intention, why is it wrong?
You see, they are looking at it as a channel for themselves to get power.
Right.
They are not looking at it as a channel for people to vote new leaders and good leaders who will promote the agenda of Kenya to a better place, to make this country better, to make this country great. to make this country experience growth.
But of course, we've had the opposition saying that they want to get people should vote for them so that we can have change in the country. And they've been going around using the corruption case in Kenya. And of course, we also have the Jubilee allies saying that they need to be re-elected again to spearhead certain things.
That's true, but you see, when somebody looks for an election or an elective post, there are various interests. Some just want the name. Some are genuine, they want to bring a change.
Sure.
But you see, for those people who really want to bring a change, sometimes they don't get the chance. In some way, somebody will use a force somewhere to sabotage them. But we need to look at the opposition maybe keenly and ask ourselves, are they sincere? They want to bring a change. What steps have they put in place, or what things have they done, even within the opposition, to show Kenyans that we are ready to bring the change? And it's not a lie that the government has weakened some systems. In the history of our country, during this time, the 2013-2017 period, is when the country has lost a lot of resources. In the previous regime, like the first regime of this country, the senior Kenyatta, land was the issue that was lost.
Yeah.
In the Moi era, there were issues that made the country not to move to where it was supposed to be.
Sure.
We even reached a point where we were falling economically until we had to do a regime change. And then we came Kibaki. And when you look at Kibaki, you realize that Kibaki tried to be liberal, and many things started to change. Issues of corruption were being dealt with. It came to a lower. The economy started to rise to a new level. And then when it came to the government of Uhuru Kenyatta.
And still on the Kibaki government, could it be because it was a Nusumkate thing and therefore Raila was there? Because some people believe that Raila is a game changer. You
look at the Kibaki in 2002.
When he was first elected into office.
When we were electing him first in office, remember he was contesting against Uhuru Kenyatta. And you see the politics that brought Uhuru to be the flag bearer in Kanu then, they made these other leaders to feel uncomfortable. Like even Kibaki was within that umbrella. But for him and people like Wamalwa, they had already moved earlier on in 1997. Earlier they had decamped from Kanu officially. And then Raila, remember in 2002, Raila was in Kanu for a short period. And then after that period, when they saw that, they thought that the President Moi could give somebody a chance, like say Mudavadi, Kalonzo, and more so Saitoti was his deputy then. But then they realized this is not happening. Then they brought in Uhuru Kenyatta. When Uhuru Kenyatta came on board, every other person shifted camp. Starting with Kalonzo, Raila himself had moved with this DP party. And you see Musalia moved for a shorter period and then went back. And that's why he has been unable to fight the tug of being a coward. And you look at that, that's how Uhuru Kenyatta had to fight now with Kibaki. Kibaki, when he was under the National Rainbow Coalition, he brought in people like Wamalwa, Charity Ngilu, Saitoti went the other side, and they formed a strong government. But they had a memorandum of understanding. And that memorandum of understanding is the one that brought the issue in 2005 of the now bringing in the issue of new constitution. Because there was a memorandum that was signed, which was not honored. And then people like Raila felt, no, we can't just sit there and wait. So they started to form a new wave of change through the constitutional means of change. And then when that happened during that time in 2005, there was a banana, there was an orange. And then the banana was defeated by the orange. And then the orange went ahead to become a party, whereby even Kalonzo Musyoka was part of that orange. But when he reached some point, he decamped again. He said, I want my share of an orange. And then now, there was two oranges, the one for Kalonzo and the one for Raila. They know how they did their things. And then they went to the election divided. And then after that election, you remember how Kenyans lost lives, how Kenyans fought each other, and then Kibaki picked Kalonzo to be his vice president. During that time, it was chaotic. And the chaos that followed are the ones that brought the change that saw Kibaki and Raila form a coalition government. And you see the appointments that these guys had. This one had these people, this other one had these people. You remember even William Ruto was part of Raila's camp before issues of corruption came, and he was thrown out along the way. And that's how also for William Ruto, he started to form and put in his people that we have been shortchanged. And he was able to be listened to. And he formed a strong movement, of which, with his absence from the opposition, from Raila's camp, he was able to come and unite with Uhuru Kenyatta. And then with the benefit or the sympathy or the ICC cases, they were able to be together and to sail into power.
All right. Recently saw the IBC kicking off the voter registration exercise. And they say that their target is 9 million. As a political analyst, do you think this figure is achievable? Especially with regard to reports that there is very low voter registration turnout.
Yeah, the target of the IEBC is 100% achievable.
The 9 million? The
9 million. The only issue or the only problem is the culture of the Kenyan people. The Kenyan people are the people whom you give information, tell them what they need to do, tell them this is the period from Monday to Sunday, only for them to appear on a Sunday morning, all of them.
And they want to be served.
Yeah, they want to be served that. And remember, like in the issue of the IEBC, we are using gadgets. Gadgets which are using technology. And sometimes technology may fail, or technology may take some time. It may delay, given to some issues. So if I came on Monday...
when you say the issue of technology, by the way, let me just hijack you there. When you are talking about the fact that technology may fail, are you also trying to support the manual backup system that the Jubilee government is trying to...
when it comes to the issue of the manual registration, you see, when the law was passed, for me, I may look at it from different angles, because I believe we really need to be digital when it comes to the issue of registration of voters and even to voting. I don't think it was right for them to entirely deal with the law the way they dealt with it. One, because when you are passing a law as the people's representatives, the people represented should also be in a position to say we are supporting it. But the scenario here that we are seeing is that when the law was being passed, the people were not in support of it. But if people support it, there's no problem. Secondly, it's an issue of experience. Previously, we have seen the turnout of voters in a given station more than the number of registered voters. And that is the question that comes in the election laws, that we need to see that the exact number is the one that is being able to be given a chance to vote. But if I have 10 voters in a station who are registered, and then I have 15 who have voted, what does that mean? That somebody tampered with the system. So what people are crying, and mostly the politicians, especially from the opposition, are saying that this thing has happened before. We have seen justice denied. We have seen people being given an opportunity to vote who are not supposed to do what? To vote. People being brought from graves to vote. And we don't want this again to happen. So we are just saying that we are, like that, by that time we were 8 months away from the election. Was it so difficult for us to put things in place that can ensure that the election and when the technology, the devices that are being used are the right ones? And why I say this is because in other countries, those things have worked. In Ghana, they have worked. In Nigeria, they have worked. But you see, the one they are using now to register voters are the same one that we were using in 2013 and earlier 2013. So when we speak about the technological insufficiency, it's because that time they showed some weaknesses. But maybe these guys have not employed the technical teams, the technical persons to deal with the issues that arise. But now that we have a new IEBC in place, this team could be able to ensure that the process is entirely technological. However, where that exercise could not be dealt with in that manner, we remember the likes of SK Masharia are saying that it is possible. You now do not need to use the bigger technology devices, but you can use mobile phones. And when you are set it in a given way with the satellites, and then you deal with it in a good way. Once you have sent the details, the device will lock itself. Nobody can manipulate it again or tamper with it.
Right.
So when we say about the voter registration exercise, you see when a system is loaded and is given a lot of work, it is likely to crash or to be very slow. And imagine on a Sunday or the last day of voter registration, all of us, like in this county, we are in every station. You want to be registered, surely. It becomes a problem. But I think the reason why now politicians are going out there and to urge people to go is so that they can go in time. If they can go in time, even if there are fewer, you remember the IBC was targeting 200,000 per day for the entire period. But you see, in their first analysis, that number had not been realized, even in the densely populated areas. And the main thing that we are asking ourselves is this: shall Kenyans learn that power is taken forcefully? And the forceful way to take it is by use of the voters' opportunity. Yes.
And already we are experiencing some lapses in the whole process. And an example is where we saw the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka's ID had been used somewhere else. So do you think this might be the only case? Of course, the IBC came out and said that this is just, it's just something that will be dealt with. But the opposition felt like if this is what happened, then how many people has it happened to?
That case of Kalonzo Musyoka is an unfortunate case. First, because he is a principal in a coalition. Secondly, he is a presidential hopeful. And we can read, some people will read malice. We say maybe this has been done with the Jubilee government, so that they can reach a point and say Kalonzo is not even eligible to be voted or to vote, because look at his kind of registration. His ID number is registered in a different person's name. And you see, if this thing was not discovered earlier today, maybe somebody later on could say this guy wanted to rig and he wanted to use other people to vote for him. But it is good it has been seen earlier. And I remember there have been cries, there have been calls, there have been people who have been saying that we need to do an audit of the voters register. To some extent, we have seen some forces from some quarters resisting this, especially from the government side. There have been some resistance. But again, we have seen some people saying we need an overhaul of the entire electoral system. And when we look onto this, we see a point whereby when such a case comes up, we say like, oh, then there is an issue. If it can affect a principal, if it can affect somebody like Kalonzo, what about the ordinary Kenyan? If the ordinary Kenyans, let's say, from a given region, say in Central, they went to vote for Uhuru Kenyatta and they found out that they are not able to vote because their registration details are tampered with, or they have problems, then it becomes a total mess. But what we can ask the new IEBC team under the chairship of Chebukati, the call or the request that we make to them is that they should ensure that these things are audited or these things are put in order, that each and every issue raised and problem raised, especially from the people who are competing, be it from the side of the president, be it from the side of the opposition, it is dealt with, and it is dealt with earlier, so that these issues don't recur during the main process.
All right. Yes. The Street Talk program takes a short break, but we'll be right back after a short while. Stay tuned to KTS. back to the program, and thank you so much for staying tuned to KTS. Of course, we are discussing political issues in Kenya with our political analyst, that's Benjamin Olenja. Welcome back. Mr. Olenja, let's talk about the issue of defections. Of course, we've experienced most people defecting from their affiliate parties to other parties, and the most recent one being that of Onyango Law, that's the ex-TNA Secretary General. What can you say about these defections?
Yeah, defections, especially at this time, we are going to witness more, and maybe during the period when now the party nominations are done, if they are not be done on the same date, we are likely to see even more.
More defections.
More defections.
Why? Is it an issue of interest or what?
It is about interest, self-positioning, and maybe let's look at Onyango Law as a case study. Onyango Law's defection, remember, is an immediate former Secretary General of the National Alliance, TNA, which folded and they joined other parties to form the Jubilee Party. And when you come into the Jubilee Party, we realize that Onyango Law does not find himself anywhere. Even the people who are consulted to carry out the Jubilee Party manifesto or the Jubilee Party preparations into the elections were new people. And for the case of Onyango Law, maybe for him we can say he was replaced by Raphael Tuju, who was brought on fold from maybe the great Nyanza. And then when we look at Onyango Law, his friend Sakaja, who was the chairman, got a nomination into parliament. For the 5 years he has been a legislator. For him, he remained with the position. And maybe he's looking at himself now and says, maybe I need to be in parliament. These ideas I have, I need to present them in parliament. And he's looking the opportunity, and he looks his backyard, which is Kisumu, and he wonders, if I go with the Jubilee Party, will this party be able to sell? And he realizes, no, it cannot sell. If I don't sing the song of chord, the song of ODM, and then tell people that I love Baba, I will not be able to go through. So he has to come back home politically.
So do you think his intentions to come back home, of course in quotes, is the intentions are good, or is just because of he's vying to be the next MP of Kisumu Central?
You see, when we speak about intention being good, remember politics is a game. And in politics, we don't have permanent enemies. Remember, Onyango Law has been a great critic of the Honorable PM Raila Odinga. He has criticized him all through when he has been at TNA. And now that he has come out, you can see how politicians interact and relate. And now that he has come back, and even if you look when he was being received in Kisumu recently, people were in ululation. They were like happy that you have come back home. And maybe we should not really take it hard on him, because he's not the only one. But one thing that we are looking at is that Onyango Law wants to contest the Kisumu Central parliamentary seat. And the best channel, the best front he can use is to use the ODM party. When he uses the ODM party, he's able to win the support even of the ODM party for the coalition. And if we look at other cases, we realize like people like Mpuri Aburi in Meru are defecting from CORD into Jubilee because they are looking and studying the psychology around the election that's ahead of us. That we must, it's like we're now going back to our quarters, to our blocks, to our tribe. And if I am not in the tribe, I may be left outside.
But again, do you think these people should be welcomed? Because I had, during the burial of the late Makto, I had Adin Duale telling certain politicians that had defected from Jubilee and now wants to come back, that those politicians that were really enemies of Jubilee, and he was very frank and told them, you know what, we are not going to nominate you into any position because there are people that have stayed with the party. So don't you think there is a way that this party should be dealing with those who defected? Because again, it's very unfortunate that you've been allied to CORD all your life, and now you say that you want to come to Jubilee just because you want to vie for a certain seat. How should the parties deal with these people?
There are those people who have along the way been early to given parties. Look for example, the case of say Mwaura, Isaac Mwaura.
Yeah.
He's a nominated member of parliament on a code ticket, which is ODM. But now he wants the member of parliament in Central. But he's not easily gotten unless he's in the Jubilee Party. So he must come, but he cannot just come and assume he gets the rights. No. He must come with a critical mind. He must be able to challenge those who are there, because somebody already is there and is carrying his own agenda. So he must find a way to kick this person out. When we also speak about whether they should be allowed back or not, I think that one we should leave to the electorate. Because when you look at a scenario whereby, like recently in Nairobi, the former bishop and Stare MP, I think it's Stare or which side of Nairobi, Margaret Wanjiru, she defected from ODM, she joined Jubilee Party, then TNF, then now Jubilee. But recently her utterances were depicting a scenario whereby she was suggesting that she can be back.
But she refuted the claims and said they were all rumors.
You see, she's a politician. And politicians, they will always say, you quoted me wrong. You see?
Even when there's an evidence.
Yeah, when you have an evidence. And they'll convince you. And even her own son is also, yeah, is also kind of in a feeling like, I'll not be able to sail through where I went.
Sure.
So you see, they are now threatened. They are looking ahead. They are saying, August is here. Party nominations are here, just around the corner. Shall I be able to get it? And if I don't get, how can I get it?
So at the end of it all, it boils down to interest.
Now it is something that the Machiavellian principle stated that the ends justifies the means, whereby I use every mean to get to my end, and most of them that is what they are actually doing. And let's not just condemn them, but let's see if they will win the approval of the people. However, some people feel like, why have they been away for long to come today? Like people have been asking, why should Onyangolo come and even say that the election was stolen? Waiting up from 2013 to 2017 is when he's saying the election was stolen. Or is he on a mission that he has come to do? But we can take the advantage of him at this hour and let him to encourage people to register as voters. Let us use him and ask him to be involved fully, so that when he can speak to people and encourage them to be registered as voters.
All right, let's come down to NASA, the National Alliance, the National Super Alliance. Yeah, and what do you think about Musalia Mudavadi being endorsed as the Luya spokesperson? Do you think that this has led to the split of the Western votes, or the Western community as large?
The Western community, maybe we need to define or to ask ourselves, how are they, at the moment, the entire or the large percentage of the Western region is in support of the opposition, and mainly their man has been Raila Odinga. And even you look at the 2013 election, you realize that Raila Odinga received many votes in Western, both in Mudavadi's staff and in Wetangula's staff and in this other region of Luya land. So the issue of Musalia Mudavadi's spokesmanship, I think it's an issue that many have been speaking about, especially the Luya leaders. They have been speaking about it for many times, and then it was a challenge. And I think that's why Mzee Francis Atwoli decided to find a way to make people know who their leader is. And you look at him, he took the study, he requested the Department of Political Science in Nairobi University, and he asked some experts there, can you help us to identify a leader? And maybe the thing that is coming out now, because you see somebody like Wetangula challenging it, and you look at Mudavadi now, some people embracing it, when you go back down there, you realize that there were elders who were involved in installing Musalia Mudavadi. There were other elders who are perceived to have been left out of the exercise.
Sure.
So they are saying, like those elders from Bungoma, they are saying like this was not a total Luhya thing. It was for some few people. And you saying that Mudavadi is the only one, we are not accepting it. We are also going to install our own. Who is who? Who is Wetangula? And when you look at that now, it brings a conflict of interest. But now my challenge or my view of it will be, let these leaders, the so-called Luhya leaders, be it Wetangula, be it Musalia Mudavadi, let them come out. Let them work out their politics like Raila works out his politics. When an issue happens in Kenya, you'll see Raila speak about it. When an issue happens in any part of this country, Raila will be there. We want to see Musalia. We want to see Wetangula also in such a way, so that we can know that they are now rightfully gaining their position as Luhya leader. Because we may challenge Musalia to be just a spokesperson, yes, but we can challenge a person who stands up and defends the ideals of the Luhya people and the ideals of the Kenyan people, no matter where he comes from in the western region. So at the moment, we can give Musalia a benefit of doubt that he has been given the mantle. But how does he run this mantle? Remember, when he was being installed, there was a promise that he will reach out to Wetangula.
Sure.
He will reach out to Cyrus Jirongo. He will reach out to people like Marende. He will reach out to everybody, even Ababu Namwamba, who is in labor fresh at the moment, and to bring them together. If this happens, something will have been achieved. But if it doesn't, again, look at the scenario whereby they mentioned they want to become presidential contenders. Sure. Mudavadi, even Jirongo and Wetangula. And when we look at them, are they really doing enough? Raila has been on the ballot several years. Musalia has been on the ballot once. But what are they doing in the backyard? Are the activities showing any interest near fighting for that seat? And what is their agenda? That's some of the questions that we need to ask them. Right. And what are they doing even in their own turf before they go out so that Kenyans can buy into their agenda?
And still on the NASA issue,
yes.
Well, we've seen like these divisions among key politicians in the NASA. Of course, we have some feeling that during the nominations, the nominations should be held jointly, and the others feel like of course those who propose the joint nominations are people like John Mbadi, who says that, you know what, we're supposed to hold these nominations as NASA. And on the other hand, we have other politicians like Hassan Omar saying that, you know what, we're supposed to fill in every affiliate party should be allowed to fill in their candidates apart from the position of the presidency. What's your take on this?
My take on this is let's look at it from party democracy. Sure. Because you see, what Jubilee Party has done, they have folded all their parties and formed one major party. But many people, we are saying, it is not showing the image of Kenya. Yeah. Because the majority in the Jubilee Party come from two main regions, which is Rift Valley and Central. But we are looking for an opportunity whereby we can see everybody brought into the fold, so that all other Kenyans feel like we are part of this. And even if we are part of this, what is our agenda to transform the country?
And on either scenarios,
yes,
what's the possible outcome? When we say that let's have the joint nominations and having separate affiliate parties coming together and filling in their own candidates, what are the possible scenarios?
Like
do you think every party, when COD allows every party, when NASA allows every party to fill in their own candidates, it will lead to split of the votes?
When I look at COD and NASA in general, what I can say is this, that the way they are at the moment, it's not really bad. It is even giving them an opportunity for them to consolidate their bases. But the main problem is going to be in areas where they share fully like Nairobi, where we would like to have just a single person contesting,
Sure.
that could have been even better. Because when you go to Nairobi, you go to Mombasa. For example, Hassan Omar, who is the senator currently, desires to be the governor. And if he will contest with Joho on ODM and Hassan on Wiper, they will create an easy way for somebody of Jubilee to penetrate through, because these guys are huge. They have masses following them. They have numbers on their sides, but they will create an opportunity for somebody to penetrate and get the docket. So it is healthy and at the same time not healthy. They could better come together and discuss how they want to fill their candidates. Or if they remain with a few candidates, maybe they will have given regions to have their own members. Like in the last election in Ukambani, it was totally Wiper.
Sure.
In Nyanza, it was totally ODM. But some people challenged them. Like in Nyanza, for the first time, we had, I think, a governor and 2 MPs who challenged. They came on a ticket that was not ODM and they won the election. Yes.
And what does the absence of the Bomet governor, Isaac Ruto, and of course Gideon Moi, the absence during the NASA launch speak?
But you see, even when you are doing political alignment, you also need to look in the future to ask yourself, my decision, will it cost me or will it be on my benefit? So I think their absence was maybe a situation whereby they wanted to measure the depth of the waters, or they wanted to look into the scenario whereby how is it going to be. And remember, Gideon Moi has his party, KANU, of which in the last election was supporting Uhuru Kenyatta.
Sure.
But now, Gideon Moi as an individual has continuously said that we shall support Uhuru Kenyatta. And even in his utterances, you can see he's not supporting the deputy president. He's supporting who? Uhuru Kenyatta. But Uhuru Kenyatta is the deputy president. The deputy president is Uhuru Kenyatta. Because they are on a joint ticket. It's like Donald Trump and I think Pence together. It's like formerly Obama and Biden. So in this scenario, you cannot say you are supporting Uhuru and you're not supporting Ruto. So you just have to declare your stand. So I think that is where his dilemma is. When you come to Isaac Ruto is a man who I think became wiser earlier. He quickly formed this party. Remember, he was one of the people who was very angry and against the formation of Jubilee Party and the folding of these other parties, including TNA. And he was asking, where are we going after this? And he formed this party, Mashinani, Chama Cha Mashinani. You see, and he is using this party even to this time. This is his machine that is going to use to win the governor vote. So maybe also for him, he was looking, the opposition, the way it is positioned, if I join them, will I be at an advantage? And maybe if I hold on, maybe I can have an easier way to say, I back Uhuru when that time comes. So it is a matter of interest, it's a matter of self-planning to see how you fare on along the way.
And because of time, briefly, let's look at the Nairobi gubernatorial contest. Apparently, we see four candidates from the Jubilee Party. We have Johnson Sakaja, we have Margaret Wanjiru, we have Mike Sonko, and Dennis Waweru. And of course, we are having another person, Peter Kenneth, that has really faced criticisms. And among the four, let's say, even among five, let's talk of the five, because Peter Kenneth is apparently also saying that he will vie on a Jubilee ticket. Who do you think could be the ideal person to be the next governor of Nairobi County?
Maybe when on your last sentence you said my ideal person. Yes, as a voter in this country, firstly I will not support the governorship of Mike Sonko. Mike Sonko is somebody who is good at running to situations and speaking to people to just cool them. He may not really have the solution. Because look at what he's doing. He uses his own well to say that he's supporting some initiatives. But you see, when you are the governor, that is not your property.
Sure.
That is government property.
Property.
You need to use it prudently. You need to divide it according to the budget allocation. You need to do everything according to the orders in your parliament, what you have done in the assembly. How are you running the government in terms of the county? When I look also at Margaret Wanjiru, I feel she's not the ideal candidate. I don't feel she's the ideal candidate. When it comes to Johnson Sakaja's leadership, we have only seen it at when he led the TNA party as the chairperson. Though it seemed to run well, but you see, we have not really tested him. And governorship is not a joke. This is big. It needs somebody who is strong enough with a backing of the people and who is able to be fully tested. And when you go to Dennis Waweru, he may stand a chance, but he's still not yet there. But when you look at the record of Peter Kenneth among the elite community and even the other people, he is the man that should be able to face Kidero. Because these two people have what it takes. Kidero has faced his own challenges.
Sure.
Because Kidero, being the governor, many people have said that he has not done ABCD, But remember, Kidero, like the president of Kenya, they work through their executives. They work through the people they have elected in the different departments. So if somebody fails to serve, let's say like executive for infrastructure or executive for trade, if they are not working, they need to crack the whip. They need to get this person out. Put their person, somebody who can do the work. And you as the CEO, you continue to monitor and ensure that everything is running. And when it is not running, do something about it. You get me?
Yes.
And when we are looking at this, the whole people, Nairobi can be safe with the two gentlemen. Either of them, Kidero or Peter Kenneth. Because when you look at Kidero at the moment, his deputy is somebody just like Kidero. People who are exposed, people who know what it is to be in Kenya, to be even in the outside world, and what development really means. There are people with some records, even though some of them are soiled with corruption. But you look at them, the people who know that a city should look like this. And remember, Nairobi is not just any village. Nairobi is the hub of East Africa.
Sure.
Nairobi is the destination of East Africa. Nairobi is the place whereby in this past regime, this passing regime of Uhuru Kenyatta has held many trade fairs.
Okay.
And we need somebody who can bring it to that standing.
And of course, I'm already getting signals from my director. And the very last one,
yes.
Whom do you see NASA nominating for the presidency?
When we look at the River Nile, there's no day the River Nile will turn and come to pour in River Omo. And that being the case, in the strength of numbers in NASA, we have Raila Odinga, we have Musalia Mudavadi, we have Kalonzo Musyoka, we have Moses Masika Wetangula. The four gentlemen, all of them have their backgrounds. But when you look at the current statistics, before we started to register new voters, Raila was leading among them. Because in his backyard, he has more numbers than these other ones. And therefore, in any scenario, for my case, I look ahead to see Raila facing Uhuru Kenyatta.
And do you see a scenario where Raila endorses another candidate, let's say Mudavadi?
It is possible, depending on the in-house, how they share within the house. And for us, the voters, we are waiting. We are waiting for them to give us the direction so that we can be able to know, like, if Raila faces Uhuru Kenyatta or if Musalia faces Uhuru Kenyatta, this is the scenario. And you see, compared to 2013, it will be very interesting to see if Raila endorses another candidate, maybe to face Uhuru Kenyatta. And I will really be keen to see if he endorses somebody like Kalonzo Musyoka. You see, Kalonzo Musyoka seems to not have such a merit, but he's a real candidate. He's a good one. He can take on Uhuru Kenyatta head on. But it will be good for Raila to still go for it, because he was there in 2013 with Uhuru Kenyatta, and Uhuru Kenyatta is going for his last. Why don't we also allow Raila to go for his last with the Uhuru, so that if he wins, he wins. If he does not, then that be. But within their house, if they see it is better, they give us another candidate, we are willing to listen and to evaluate, and to even tell the electorate that this is the way, let us go it, let us have Uhuru face one, so that we can see the change the country can have. Because it is true, there are many things that have happened in this country during Uhuru's time that are making us very sad.
Okay, I wish we had more time to tackle most of these issues, but unfortunately we don't have time. We've got to stop there. Thank you so much, Mr. Benjamin Olenja, our political analyst, and thank you so much, viewers, for staying tuned to the Straight Talk program. Until next Monday, God bless you. Keep it there. Thank you so much.